Hi, I'm Jonathan Folsom, seed agronomist for Croplan, Armour, and Winfield United. Let's look at our corn crop and let's make a plan for the next 10 days. I'm sitting here in beautiful Muleshoe, Texas, but the soil's not so beautiful. Some of the crop's not even all that beautiful. This is a research plot where we screen for high pH corn tolerance. This is a research plot where we screen corn hybrids for high pH soil tolerance. There's some really outstanding hybrids. This hybrid's outstanding for the wrong reasons. We're not going to put it on our high pH farms. S5900 on the other hand, S5900 is a very good high pH corn. But let's talk about tissue sampling. Let's talk about field forecasting. So let's talk about tissue sampling and make a plan for the next 10 days. Winfield United's field forecasting tool is a fantastic tool for optimizing growers' farm inputs. Winfield's R7 tool is a fantastic tool for optimizing corn inputs. Let's take a look at this corn. So this is V10 corn, and so it's got 10 collared leaves. And so we want to know which leaf we want to sample when we're taking a tissue sample. Well, that's pretty easy. Bubba told me that I need to take the uppermost collared leaf. All right, this one's got a collar, I'm gonna pull it. Is that right? Well, let's ask, let's look. All right, so what we really wanna pull is the newest mature leaf. And the reason we wanna pull a mature leaf is because immature leaves are still growing, still expanding, and so the nutrient concentrations are diluted because that leaf is still expanding and the plant can't pump the nutrients to it, and it's not in a state of, it hasn't reached a state of balance yet with the nutrients. Mature leaves have. So the mature leaf is not growing anymore. The mature leaf is at a stable point, and so we can measure the nutrients in this mature leaf here, because we know that the nutrient concentrations here are not diluted, they're not concentrated. It's an active leaf. It's not an old dying leaf. It's not a young immature growing leaf. So the status of the nutrients in here, it's not in flux. The nutrient contents of this leaf right here is stable. Nutrient content of this leaf is probably stable. So what I like to look at, we can look at the leaf collar, but even more than that, let's look at the internode length. So we look at this leaf right here, its internode length seems like it's stretched out good enough that we're gonna call this mature. It's done growing. The leaf above it, I'm not really sure. That looks like it's about the same length as this one. We'll measure it with our fingers. About 4 fingers and it's almost 4 fingers. I'm gonna say this one's probably gonna be done maturing today. What about this next one? So this collared leaf right here, well, it's definitely not 4 fingers. This internode is still stretching, still expanding, so this leaf is still stretching, still expanding. So if this internode length is shorter than the one below it, then this leaf is not a mature leaf. It is not fully expanded. So let's talk about other crops. Let's talk about other crops, such as a cotton crop where we can see that leaf expanding really easily. We don't think of corn leaves as expanding, but that's what they're doing, they're growing. So we want to catch that corn after it's finished expanding that leaf, after it's fully expanded that internode length and that those nodes have stretched apart. That's where we find our mature leaves after that growth stops. So if we sampled this immature leaf right here, just because it's got a collar on it doesn't mean that it's done growing. And if it's not done growing, then the nutrients are not in a stable measurable state. So for the tissue samples, we're gonna pull this one right here. When we're pulling tissue samples in corn, we want to make sure that we're feeding the field forecasting tool the right information. And we want to make sure our tissue samples are telling us the right information. We want to optimize the farmer's yields. We're going to start by optimizing our tissue sample. So this corn is V10 corn, and we want to make sure that we're taking the newest mature leaf. Well, what is a mature leaf? Well, in broadleaf crops, that's easy because you can see when that leaf is fully expanded. That's a mature leaf. If that leaf isn't big, then it's not a mature leaf. Well, in corn, we can do the same thing, but it's not leaf size. We're going to look at the internode length. So you see, this is a collared leaf up here, but the internode length is only about, let's say 2 inches. The internode below it is expanded. But this internode length up here for this leaf is not fully expanded. So that tells me that the nutrients of this leaf are still in flux. That tells me that this plant, the leaf is still growing, the plant is still pumping nutrients into it. And so the nutrient levels of this leaf are going to be diluted if we measure them. It'll show us that there's not enough fertility. And that's not really what we're looking for. This is a mature leaf. The nutrients are not in flux, it's stable. This next leaf here is a mature leaf. The nutrient level is stable and would give us a good measurement of the nutrients in the plant. And this is probably, I'd say, our newest collared leaf, even though I might say it might even not be totally mature yet. Looking at the internode length, okay, it's probably mature, but not by much. So 2 days ago, I would not have wanted to pull this leaf. And today, I don't want to pull this leaf right here because this leaf is an immature leaf. Even though it's got a collar on it, see? It's got a collar on it. It's not mature because it hasn't fully expanded, and so the plant hasn't had a chance to fully pump all the nutrients into there. So that's our plan of action for this week. We're going to pull tissue samples from corn that's got mature leaves and immature leaves. We're going to pull tissue samples from corn we're going to pull tissue samples from mature leaves, and I'm just going to pull some tissue samples from immature leaves and compare those, just so you'll have an idea what I'm talking about. The immature leaves are going to show lower nutrients, lower levels. The immature leaves are going to show lower levels of nutrients, and that's not what we're wanting to measure. We want to measure accurately. So our NutriSolutions tool is based on mature leaves, not immature leaves. So let's make sure we're sending the right leaves. Don't just send the newest collared leaf. Let's make sure that we're sending the newest matured leaf. Stay tuned next week for those results. I'm Jonathan Folsom. Let's go pull some tissue samples and work on that field forecasting tool. Have a great week.